Hello hustlers, and welcome to the very first episode of Resell Radio, where we give you some insight into how the biggest sellers on the app think, so you know exactly what you need to do to build your own successful shop. Today I've had the privilege of speaking to Jack Dainty Vintage. His shop's going to be in the description, so make sure you check it out. And he has been humble enough to explain to myself and all of you how he has built almost 5,000 sales in his shop and is absolutely killing it on a Depop app. Really good conversation. Hope you enjoy it.
Now you're doing you've done around 5,000 sales.
Yeah, I'm close. Yeah, I'm on the final stretch now.
About 100 off, I think.
Yeah.
How many sales you do a day? What's your best day for sales been ever?
Ooh, I think it was around 75 or so. I did a...
No. I was not expecting that. I thought he was going to say 20, 25. 75.
Yeah, I ran a 50% flash sale on funky shirts that I stocked because I had so many of them. I needed to get some gone. And yeah, it was a Monday night and I ran it for 6 hours. And yeah, took it over about 75 sales, I think it was.
Jesus, flash sale 50%, 75.
Yeah.
I'm writing that one down, Jack.
Write that one down, yeah. Yeah, I haven't done one of them for a while, so I might bring it back next weekend for Black Friday.
That's why I'm going to try this Black Friday. That's amazing. 75. Crazy. Right. All right. We'll get back to how well you're doing in a second. Take me back to the beginning. So you're just Jack. There's no Jack Dainty Vintage yet. How did you get here?
So I'll take you to college. I'm 26 now, so college was 8 years ago. But I studied fashion and art at college. So it's always been my passion to be creative, do creative things. And then I got an NHS job. So I started in the NHS I literally left college, went to New York, and then started my NHS job like a week after. And then I got comfy in my NHS job because it was good money, and I moved around throughout the NHS, worked my way up the ladder to quite a respectable job and salary. Yeah, I think I just started selling some of my old clothes back in 2015, I think it was. The first t-shirt I sold was a black one covered in Halloween bats from Top Man. And I think I sold it for like a $5 dozen. And I just kind of got the bug from there. So I kept trying to think, like, what else do I want? So I cleared my own wardrobe and then thought, what else can I sell? So every time I went charity shopping, which is a very regular thing for me, I just thought, well, what else can I buy? And I was like, oh, I saw that. That's £4. I could make £20 off that. And then it's all a bit of a blur because it became what it is. Obviously not what it is now, but it became like my passion and all I ever talked about and did and used my free time doing, to the point where obviously now full time doing it every day. So yeah.
So what was the point for you where you realised that this could be a thing?
Yeah, I suppose it was probably only about a year ago.
So
I was running it part time, but I probably only made up to about 1,000 sales or so. Yeah, maybe a year and a half ago, maybe I hit 1,000 sales. So I'd had it for 3 years or so, and it took me that long to get 1,000 because it was just a part-time thing. And when I actually realized I can make a full-time living out of it, it's just the more time you put into it, the more I get out of it. So I thought, well, if I'm doing this very, very part-time, I mean, my job was, 8.5 hours a day, my NHS job, 5 days a week. So I had very little time for Depop, and I was making, 800 to $1,000 a month. I thought, wow, if I can make that on the little hours I'm doing, then if I quit it, just go for it, then I've got to make it work because I need to pay bills.
Exactly.
B, I'll have all the time to do whatever I want. I can have more time to be creative, and instead of uploading 4 items a day, why not upload 40 items a day? Like, what's stopping me? And that's kind of where it took off. And that was going full time is the best thing I've ever done. I finally got to have my operation, and then during the time off from my operation, obviously it wasn't well enough to work, but I was well enough to take photos of clothes and keep my Depop going. So, and I just realized that I didn't want to go back. But I mean, I had to because my colleagues are lovely, and I couldn't do that to them, and I had to give 2 months notice. But yeah, that was the turning point. But yeah, and then I suppose for the business side of it, it was amazing. I was smashing sort of 400, 500 sales a month, and especially earlier on this year. So obviously I was so busy, I couldn't give myself any time off anyway, because I was just too busy on Depop. So yeah, it was a funny time.
I think we've been lucky. it's one of the few industries that got better during lockdown instead of worse. Pretty much everything else, even like main high street fashion, has had a little bit of a dip, but secondhand for some reason has gone up. So we're lucky people, I think. Okay, so one of the things that I understand very little about your business, because I've never dabbled it in myself, is are you into branded clothing? Do you wear it?
Yes and no, a few bits, but the brand doesn't make it for me. Like, I prefer it to have pattern or color or some kind of quirky aspect over a brand name, because there's so many things with brand names on that, in my opinion, are really dull. Just because they have the brand on the front doesn't mean it's a nice piece of clothing.
Oh, you were doing so well, Jack, and then you just fucking slipped up at the last hurdle. If it's not got a tiny little white Nike tick on it, then I'm not interested. All right.
I've got to say that Nike is my favorite. I do have quite a lot of vintage Nike stuff. Yeah. Trainers, jumpers, a lot. T-shirts is my favorite. Jewelry. There you go.
So diving a little bit into the shop then. I'm just curious, kind of, I know people don't want to give away their suppliers and that stuff. I understand that. But just, I've only ever dabbled in branded clothing, and it definitely has its limitations, because you can get a nice cardigan, for example, for a £5, knowing that it's worth 50 because of the way it looks. It hasn't got a brand, but it's worth that much. Whereas when I'm looking for a Stone Island jumper, I'm never going to get one for less than 50, because someone knows what Stone Island is. It's always going to be fake. So I'm just interested about kind of that side of the Depop that I've never dabbled in before.
Yeah, it's interesting. I used to sell branded clothes. That's what I used to buy the sweatshirts, because I thought that's what people wanted. But then I sort of switched my mindset on, actually, you're not really enjoying this too much, Jack. And I think in order for it to not feel like work or feel too repetitive, is to just stop the things that you love and that you would wear, which doesn't mean you want to keep it all for yourself. But that's definitely like one of my top tips I give out to people all the time, is stop what you love, because it'll never get boring. And so, yeah, for me, when I come, let's say a lot of the stuff I buy isn't all that expensive. I mean, these denim shirts here were £2.50 a piece. And yeah, it's really cheap. They were quite a find, actually. And I buy a lot of things from the wholesalers that most people know about. So Fox Vintage Wholesale, Vintage Bros Wholesale. Fox are really good. I've done a handpick with Fox as well.
They're going to think I'm a brand ambassador at this point, man. I can't stop going on about Fox Vintage.
They are good. I mean, they all have their, there will be the odd item in there that you think, really?
Yeah, but that's wholesale, that if everything was perfect, it'd be more expensive. So
yeah. And actually, these shirts are from Bulk Vintage Wholesale, which I swore I would never shop at again. Because
it's interested in that. Go on, tell me about Bulk, because the one box I got, Jack, is the first ever wholesale bundle I bought. The box comes through, it's fucking falling apart, and the clothes stank. Like, it was, opened it vile. It was nasty, stains, liquids and stuff that I couldn't identify. It was not good, man. So
yeah, that was probably my similar experience. That was one of my first bulk orders a little while back. Years now, actually. It's just rubbish. And the price I paid as well, like, things are quite expensive.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make much money on these. That's why I was surprised these were bulk. These were there discounted. They got sale at the minute, 50% off 45 kilo bales. So I'll just try a denim shirt one. How wrong can you go? Actually, decent. I got rid of 25, I think, out of 130 that they sent me. So yeah, and they were so cheap anyway, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Maybe they're worth a revisit then. But I think we both agree Fox Vintage has been pretty high quality from the stuff I've ordered anyway.
They have. I find, the price is a little bit expensive, especially when you handpick. Like some of the sweatshirts I walked away with, I paid £18 like a piece. Really, I want to be paying like £7. So, I think you've got to pick carefully, and I think that's why it's good when I'm actually interested in these kind of categories, that this stuff does naturally come cheaper.
Yeah,
like corduroy shirts, things like that, like my top sellers. Things actually are pretty cheap. And then I do have a personal supplier. He only supplies to me, which is lovely. And he sorts me out with my knitwear and the funky shirts when we're in funky shirt season.
Only supplies to you and me now, yeah?
Yeah.
That's one.
Yeah, he literally, I stumbled upon him on Depop. So he was selling job lots of funky shirts.
Okay.
And I bought it. He actually messaged me and said, "Are you interested?" And I thought it was one of these messages, that you ignore. And I thought, actually, I am. And then I bought it, and then he's been my supplier ever since. Yeah, good guy. He just sells his surplus off to me because he has his own shop, his own store. And he just sells his excess off because he buys too much. And I take
So
it.
do you always focus on the wholesale side of things? Is that the strategy through and through?
On the most part, yeah. And then I do charity shop 2 or 3 times a week when they're open.
Yeah.
Just to find those, they're going to be at best prices, aren't they, charity shops? Even though they are catching on a little bit, you're still paying less than you would wholesale. It's just nice to find those like quirky pieces that, it's just nice to find those quirky pieces that you wouldn't necessarily get wholesale, or just random things. So yeah, I actually love charity shopping. I love the thrill of like, what am I going to find? And
yeah, fair enough.
Love coming away with armfuls of stuff, having only spent like £40, and great.
Looking forward, then, you've already achieved a lot, but what is the end goal, if there is one, in your head? Is it to separate from the Depop brand? Is it to just keep going hard on your shop?
So I love Depop. I've seen a lot of other sellers and my friends like on Instagram. They all seem to be getting their own websites now at the same time, but that just isn't for me at the minute. I can't say ever, but it's definitely not something I'm interested in having at the minute. I'm very happy with Depop. Obviously, the only worry is if Depop went kaput and all my hard work was gone. But I've built up a good following, so it's fine. So yeah, I want to move out. I haven't moved out yet. I'm still at home.
Yeah.
So that is a goal. It's not necessarily a Depop goal, but it's one of my personal goals.
Do you think the shop's supporting you enough to be able to do that, or will be able to?
Yeah. It supports me fine. It's just saving for it, that's all.
Yeah.
I could live happily in a house that I owned on the money that I make. It's just, still saving for the mortgage at the minute. And it's tricky because I went full time back in January before seeing a mortgage advisor. I can't get a mortgage yet because I haven't got enough years of full time, income to show them.
Yeah.
So nobody's going to give me a mortgage yet anyway.
Yeah.
So
I've been having the same problem since I quit my job. I forgot that they need a different kind of basis of proof when you're an entrepreneur. So it's not quite the same thing.
Yeah, I should have done that. Whilst I was in the NHS, I should have got a mortgage secured, with 8 years of NHS salary behind me. But
lessons learned.
So yeah, that's another mistake. Lesson learned. But it's fine. I'm happy here. I'm lucky to have the studio space, which is in my family home, which is really nice.
Do you see yourself doing this for the foreseeable future? Because I think what was interesting about what you said is, you're right, a lot of people are launching websites, but I think, you never know how much profit someone's making. Fair enough. Maybe they've worked out something I haven't. But if I could assume that the average seller's making maybe £1,000 on Depop, if we put the number there, I very much doubt that you can run a website and do all the marketing that Depop do for you for £100 a month. And if you can't, then you don't need your website yet. Now, when you're in your position, with 5,000 sales and you still don't think you need a website, it asks the question, what are a lot of people doing trying to build their own separate brands? Not saying it's wrong, because I haven't spoken to them all yet. They might have good reasons. But I think if you're only doing that to avoid the 10% fee, really think about what you're getting for that 10%. It might seem expensive when you sold, £100 jumper and they take a tenner. When you think about your business, all of that for 10% of your money is actually pretty cheap.
Yeah, decent. Yeah, I've never had any problems with the fees. They've never bothered me. Obviously, they're providing a service for us, and that's, we pay the 10% for that service, and that's fine. What's interesting, I don't know if you should know about Internet Girl on Depop, the biggest Depop seller
to get her
ever.
on the podcast, but she's not interested yet.
She's not.
Hey, mark my words, this has been recorded now. One day, Internet Girl will get on this podcast, 100%. I'll make it happen.
Tell her I say hi. She's obviously smashed like over 50,000 sales on that. I'm pretty sure, maybe close to 60. And she's only just recently launched a website.
See,
so
there you go.
Quite interesting. And the same with Isabella Vrana as well.
Isabella who?
Isabella Vrana, Vrana. She makes a lot of her own clothes out of dead stock fabrics. Has her own design. Very, very good. And she's only just launching a website as well. So I feel like that's encouraging. Like, you don't have to reach a certain number of sales and think, I need a website now. Or follow the crowd. Just do what's right for you, isn't it?
See, it begs the question, are people starting a website because it's the right move, like for their business? Or is it because you want to be an entrepreneur and entrepreneurs have their own website and it's got their name in the title and you get your own logo? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it an ego thing, or is it it makes sense for me to have a website? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do wonder that. I think I can tell, like, the people on Instagram that have it because they need it, and then others that have it because they want it.
For someone in my position, 1,000 sales, or maybe someone with less, what would you say to them about closing the gap somewhat?
Okay, what about like catching up, or
not necessarily catching up to you, but just moving from where they are now? Because I think where I am, I'm familiar enough that I kind of could see how I would do what you're doing with some time and some hard work. Like, there's a roadmap there. But I think someone who's got 30 sales is looking at the number of denim shirts you have behind you and thinking, fucking hell, like that's more than my whole shop for the last week, and you've got it in the background of the video. So what advice would you give them for just moving to a stronger position?
Yes, obviously that top tip I gave earlier, stock what you love. I think that's so important to give you some drive as well to like keep going with it. Again, buy and upload as much as you can, like put as much money into the business as you can. But I think now I look around and sort of calculate everything I've got in the studio, including like the laptop and the printer, and probably totals between £15,000 and £20,000. Like I've managed to build that up out of like nothing. I think I did take a £1,000 loan to get me going.
Yeah. But it's all just reinvested profit other than that. Literally
reinvested profit and then adding extra in each time. So every month, say I end up with £2,500 back for stock. So that comes back for stock. And then I'll add a bit more of what I made for myself into that as well. So it's like constantly growing every month, even by just £100. That's the main thing. I think just then uploading regularly, like uploading as often as you can, as much stock as you can, helps, because the more you've got on your page, the more likely people are to find your stuff. I think a good variety is nice. So I have a massive variety on my page. Not really women's wear, but that doesn't stop women buying from me. Because I'm just not comfortable with women's wear. I don't know.
I've done the exact same. It's just, you think that it's worth so much and it's amazing, and then you sell it for like a third of what I just don't get girls' clothes, clearly, so I'm just going to stay out of that
easily 50% of my customers are women. So I suppose a lot of what I have is unisex, to be honest.
Yeah.
It doesn't say men or women. So I have a lot of female buyers anyway. That is pretty much my main. Obviously, staying active on the app helps. Refreshing your items once a day is all like, but
which must take a very long time for the amount that you've got.
Like 800 items on there at the minute, and it's like, it takes me about.
So that's for people who don't know, pressing edit and then re-listen out to the top.
Edit done, literally, and that will boost it to the top supposedly when people search for it. And also about the algorithm. So when you become a top seller, you end up on a forum of other top sellers. So it's an app called Slack, and we're all on there, all the top sellers, and we can chat. And a lot of them aren't happy with the algorithm at the minute. I was just going back to your comment earlier. A lot of them finding it frustrating. The DNA thing isn't showing up any items they're actually interested in, which I would agree in as well. And maybe feels like too many changes have been made to Depop in a short amount of time.
It's been very quick fire. It almost feels like they're in lockdown as well, and they're all sitting at home with fuck all to do. So they're just making long to-do lists of shit to change, and it's all with good intention. And you know what? At the end of the day, 100 people can complain on a forum, and that's 0.0111% of Depop. So it looks like, oh shit, everything's going wrong, but to them, 99% of people are happy. So I get into it.
Exactly.
I think the attitude I kind of take, not just in Depop, but of everything, is that there's things I can control. The algorithm isn't one of them. So I get if I want to have a bit of a rant, that's fair enough. You want to talk about it. But, if you've had 3 days, sales are low, nothing's happening, you've just got to write a list of shit you can do and try and do it. It might work, it might not, but there is no other response, So when I go 3 days without a sale, I just think, right, I'm going to run a promotion, I'm going to reshoot some photos, I'm going to refresh. Just what can I do to do something about this? Because I can complain about the algorithm, and I might be right, but it's not going to make me any more money. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, exactly.
So another thing I have down is the Instagram. So this was a personal one for me. So everyone watching can sign off the video now. Something that I've always kind of learned and we're trying to implement is that when you add value to an audience and you just give, and that value can come in many forms. It can be entertaining. It can be, oh, that looks cool, or oh, it can be funny, or it can be information, whatever it is. And you just give without asking for anything back. When you do offer something back, people are more than willing. And I think that's something that you do very, very well. There were barely any posts that actually asked me to buy anything on your page. Obviously, you knew you could because it was obvious it was a shop, but you weren't really asking for any money. And then the occasional time you do, it's clearly working because you've got so many sales. So just what's your approach been for the Instagram? What's the strategy in your mind?
Yeah, for me, obviously, it's just my creative space where I can be me and have fun and, you know, engage with other people. So try and make it as fun, colourful, and hopefully inspirational to other people. Like you said earlier, there's not a lot of guy resellers that kind of do what I do in, you know, with the colour and the pattern and the
100%.
It's all very much like, you know, no shade, but, you know, like Stone Island and things that kind of scare, that whole kind of
boy in the thing with the
scares me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fucking wearing a do-rag and a night tracksuit, so I can't talk, but yeah. I tried to make it blue for you, Jack. I thought he likes colour. I put a blue one on.
I like it. But yeah, no, like talking in a language that I don't understand, and like I find a lot of the guy resellers kind of have that kind of vibe, which is great for them. It works for them. I just wanted it to be more me, like not conform to like what I should be like on Instagram, but just be like, wow, this is me. I'm Jack Dainty of Jack Dainty Vintage, and this is what I do. And yeah, Instagram's been a really hard one to like grow. I get a lot of people messaging me like, "How'd you grow your Instagram?" And I'm like, I don't really know. Like, it's a long process. Even now, I'm sort of closing in on 6,000 followers, but it's taken me ages to get that many. And I know it's not about that, because I think actually the interactions on all of my posts are pretty good. I get nice comments. I kill a nice number of likes. Yeah, and I also think like not worrying about that too much as well. Like I've had it before where I've been like, oh, I might not post that because it might not get many likes. But actually, it's very much me. Like the post I was going to post, it's me. It's my style, and I liked it enough to take the photo, so just post it anyway. Not get so hung up on like how it looks on the feed.
Absolute pleasure with Jack Dainty Vintage. Make sure you follow him on the IG at Jack Dainty Vintage. I'll make sure it's in the description as well. Whether you're interested in the clothes he sells, or you just want to see an entrepreneur succeed and follow the journey and be a part of it, make sure you check out his Instagram page. We exist to serve you hustlers, okay? Everything we do, this podcast, our Instagram, the free resources on our website, they're all there to help you grow your Depop shop. So if you want to grow your shop, if you want to watch our journey and how we grow as a business, or hopefully you want to grow together so we both benefit, then please like the video, leave a comment letting us know what you think, subscribe to the channel, whatever it is you want to do, but let us know what you thought so that we can keep getting better and better and better. We're here to add value to you. That's why we make these videos. That's why we do what we do. Let us know what you think so we can do a better job for you. Keep hustling.